Almost exactly 4 years ago, I got my first pair of Nick's boots. These have been fantastic boots. These are the best fitting, most comfortable boots I've ever worn. They fit really well on my feet. My feet don't slide around in them at all, but at the same time, they're not tight. They just fit incredibly well. They work well, they're tough. I got them with a mini lug sole, which I like because it tracks less dirt. These are the Rangers in their moderate arch last. But as you can see, they need a resole. So my plan was to buy a new pair of Nick's boots. It's been 4 years. I can buy a pair of Nick's boots every 4 years. They're expensive, but they're good boots. And while after those get broken in and I can wear them, I can send these in to be resoled. So I wouldn't be without a pair of boots. Now, one small drawback of this style of boot is the laces. Now, it takes a while to get them laced up and laced off again, which isn't that big of a deal. But I moved to a new house, and the bathroom, you have to walk through carpet. And I don't like walking on the carpet with dirty boots. I mean, the hard floors, it's one thing, it's easy to sweep up if you do track something in, but the carpet, it just gets ground in and gross and doesn't clean up well. So I wanted boots that were easier to take on and off. I considered a slip-on pair, but then I was like, I don't know if they're going to be too loose once they slip on and whatever else. So instead, I decided to get these. These are tankers. With the buckles and straps, they are faster to get on and off. And once they get broken in, according to a guy on the internet who has a pair, if you just leave them buckled loosely, you can slip your foot in. And so you can have a slip-on boot. The lace isn't going to flop, the strap is not going to flop around like laces would if you left them unlaced. And you can wear them as slip-on boots, but if you need them tighter, you can just buckle them up. So I thought that was going to be a great solution. And I am fairly happy with the buckles. I've worn them a little bit. Now, here's where the problem comes in. These two boots are the same last, the same company, and the same size. So one would think that they would fit the same. The problem is there's a subtle difference in how they attach the tongue. This has a straight across thing right here, and this has this U shape or N shape or whichever direction you're looking at it shape. It's not straight, it goes up, and that gives this some flex. This does not. The original tankers did have this same style tongue, and they switched to this style for some unknown reason. Now, these boots, the second I put them on, they were very uncomfortable right here where the tongue attaches. Now, I immediately contacted customer support and was like, hey, what's the deal with this? You know, they're really uncomfortable, really tight there. And I was advised to try wearing them. Now, I know there's policies for whether or not you should wear them outside or whatever else. I got no warning about that from customer service. They're, try wearing them. They never said try wearing them inside. They never said don't oil them. They never said a lot of stuff. So I put a little bit of oil in here and tried wearing them, and they still were uncomfortable. I wore them outside a little bit. I stuffed baseballs in them to try to get them to stretch out, and no luck. I mean, they're okay now. I mean, the right boot is still uncomfortable after a short amount of time of walking. The left boot is tolerable. I'd be willing to keep the left boot the way it is. But this doesn't work. Now, why is this bad? The straight across thing. Well, it gives no stretch to the leather. These stitches, whatever thread they use, is heavy duty, strong thread that doesn't stretch. Because if you had stretchy thread in your boot, it would fall apart and stretch and just wouldn't work. So the thread doesn't stretch. So in this area where it transitions from lower to tongue is extra layers of leather, and it's stitched in a way that the stitches don't stretch. And if you look around the side, to stretch down here, it has to stretch this whole strip of leather to stretch out this little bit, because this isn't going to stretch with the stitches. They're not going to move because they're heavy duty thread. Let me show you my demo here. So this is a straight stitch. It does not stretch. This fabric is stretchy fabric, but the straight stitch makes it so it doesn't stretch. Now if I do a zigzag stitch, it stretches just fine. So I could probably argue with them even more and send these back for an exchange, but I feel like Nick's makes a very good quality boot, and they are not used to making a boot wrong. Because when I contact them, they never have said, oh, I'm sorry, we might have built it wrong. It's never been once said in their conversation with them. Maybe in the latest email they might have had something, oh, you can stitch them too tight and they might fit different depending on how they were sewn. But really, this boot was instantly painful when I put it on. These boots were, mildly uncomfortable because they were heavy-duty leather boots which hadn't been broken in. But these hurt right there immediately. So what I am going to try to do, this is probably a bad idea and not recommended, certainly not recommended by Nick's, is I'm going to tear out these stitches and put in a zigzag stitch across here, and that will let this boot stretch in this area where it needs to stretch so it'll fit onto my feet. Now, they did advise that I might go up a width, but these fit perfectly, and if they're also talking about what condition these were in for possibly reselling them. That's crazy. They need to look to see if they're made correctly before they resell them, and then they can look at the condition at that point. Because if some other poor person, if they take these back, they look at them, they decide that they are resellable in the condition they're in. They're a little dusty, but I think they probably would be. If they decide they are resellable and they sell them to somebody else as a 10E, those boots aren't returnable. You bought a boot, it said a 10E. Now, so somebody else is going to get screwed over if I return these and they don't fit and they're the wrong size because they were made wrong. So that bothers me. I didn't really brought that up with customer service, but seriously, come on guys. This doesn't work. There's other people who have had tightness in this area with tankers. Maybe they toughed it out more than I did. Maybe my arch here is higher than theirs. I'm not sure. But I'm going to do a little more experimenting and make sure that I can actually do a zigzag stitch there and have it work. It is risky because once I tear out the stitches and re-stitch them, then Nick's can say, you broke your boots, we're not taking care of you now. But they're not taking care of me and I haven't broken the boots, so I've done a little experimenting and I can fit a needle through here and I can get it back up from the inside. Because there's already holes in the leather. There's no way I'd be able to stitch through here by hand. It would be a heck of a struggle, but there's already holes from where it's stitched, so I can go stitch, 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 zigzag back and forth across here, and that'll get me stretch. Now, I also did a test to see if it really is the thread holding this back from stretching. So it's not a perfect test, but I pulled up some slack out of these. Now if I put my baseball in to stretch it, those drop back down. So I'm pretty sure the threads are stopping the leather from stretching. There's a fair amount of leather here anyways, but I think the threads are preventing it from stretching. So I guess the question is, should I rip them out or not? I'm going to take a little break and see if I change my mind. It's been almost exactly 2 weeks since I made the first video about wanting to tear out these stitches, and I contacted customer service again, gave them a chance to respond. I sent them my first half of this video where they received no comment on that, but I did send it to them, and they did watch it because they're the only people who had the link, and I got a couple of views on it. So they've seen what's going to happen. Customer service did offer to exchange these or give me a refund, which is nice, but it's been a week. I haven't received any instructions on how to exchange them or how to return them, and it's been a week. I mean, how long does it take to send out instructions on how to return the boots, or a return label, or whatever we need to do? So nothing's happened in a week. I've sent them 3 messages. First one saying I would like to exchange them, and the second one a couple of days later, what's the next step in this process, and then another one just yesterday morning, I think it was yesterday morning or the day before, asking again, where do we go from here? And no response from them, so they don't want to fix these boots. Or customer service, I think really it's one person at customer service who's causing the problem. They still are basically insisting that there's no possible way that these boots were made incorrectly. They did kind of say, well, we can't give you a discount because we need to inspect them and see. Really, my customer service interaction should have been them, oh, I'm sorry, your boots don't fit. Try wearing them. If they still don't fit, we'll take them back and exchange them. But wear them inside and don't wear them outside. And then once they didn't fit, they're like, oh, well, we'll take them right back and examine them. And if we feel like they were made correctly, we will send you a new pair that is made correctly if they were made wrong. If they were made right, but it's just a style thing with the way they're made, we'll get you a larger size. Okay, I'm not really going to use a knife. That would be a bit overkill. Got a thread seam ripper. Might need to sit down in a chair and do this, but there we go. I'll cut that. All right, well, I need to. Yeah, anyways, so I started ripping out the threads. Can't go back now, so I'm going to go sit down, place that's more comfortable, and rip out all those stitches. Well, I've done it now. We'll see how terrible an idea this was in a couple minutes when I try to start sewing it all back together again. I got this restitched, and it's not that much better. It's maybe slightly better, but I realized as I had my hand in there feeling what actually the problem is. So I'm going to rip out the stitching that I put in and have to do it again anyways, and I'll show what the real problem is. So I probably should have stitched it a little bit tighter, but so as I was stitching, I realized, let's just get this tucked down, that this is the vamp, and the vamp has a liner on it, and it's supposed to be glued together. It is sort of glued, but not very well. I got my finger in there a ways, so it's glued on, so it's missing a section of glue right in there. Now what that does, if I can show you, this is very soft leather, so when I put my foot in, it rolls over up until where the seam is. So when I put my foot in, this piece of leather rolls over, makes a ridge right across here. Now I don't know how to fix it. really this needs to be re-glued. The liner and the vamp need to be glued together. The problem is, I wish I could show you it rolling under. Yeah, so I just slid my finger in and it just folded under, folds over like that. It makes a really sharp ridge on the inside. So, let's see, yeah, seeing that. Anyways, now the problem is, if I re-glue that, it's not that big of a deal, but I absolutely need these holes to line up so I can stitch it. Actually, maybe I don't 100% need it because the vamp liner is such soft leather. But anyways, so I've cut these apart now, so that needs to be glued back together again. I did an experiment. I was really disappointed when I did the zigzag thing. I thought, oh, this has got to make it better. And it made it not much better. But what I did was I actually put a piece of packing tape in across this on the inside to hold this liner in place. So when that liner got held in place, it didn't roll over. See if I do it, I can get it to roll over. But anyways, it rolls over really easy. So when it rolls over, then it makes this ridge right across. And in my left boot, it was still tight here and a little bit uncomfortable, but that vamp liner is glued solidly to the vamp, so it doesn't roll up and make that sharp line. So anyways, I'm gonna post this to YouTube. Hopefully I'll figure out a good way of fixing that. If not, I'll come up with something to fix it. But that's the manufacturing flaw that made these boots not fit. I'm almost positive that vamp lining not being glued all the way. So Nick's customer service advice was wrong. They said, oh, just exchange them for a larger size. These boots are the right size. They just weren't glued properly there, so it made that thing roll down and it was uncomfortable for me. So I do take a 10E in Nick's. The internal volume's the same. They put it on the last right and everything else. But they missed a little bit of glue in an important spot, and now they made the boots uncomfortable. So, anyhow, another way I could fix it, besides re-gluing it, is put stitches, another row of stitches along in here, right up to hold that last bit up. But anyways, so that's where I'm at. I'll keep you guys updated on what I end up doing with these. I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to, how I'm going to be able to fix that. Because like I said, lining up these holes with the holes for the vamp liner is important for me to be able to stitch it correctly. But I could probably carefully punch holes all the way through from this side and then get them up through from the inside. Because that's the thing, I could push down in, but there's no way I get enough force from the inside to lift up. But anyways, that's the deal. I should also say that I'm not making this video to try to hurt Nick's Boots. I want to help Nick's Boots. They make a great product in the USA, and I want them to succeed. And how do you succeed? Well, you need to learn from your mistakes. So they made a mistake on this, on building this, and they made a mistake in how they did their customer service. And now everybody is going to know they made a mistake because, everybody who watches this video is going to know they made a mistake and what the mistake was. And hopefully Nick's will learn how to not have this issue again for another customer. So anyways, Nick's, sorry I had to do this, but you kind of left me no choice. I'm not going to send these back I wasn't going to send these back for a restocking fee. They're not made right. I wasn't going to sell them on your used boot marketplace because they're not made right. I would take an absolute beating on selling a pair of second-hand boots that have a manufacturing flaw in them. That's ridiculous. I have no idea what people would pay, so comment down below. What would you pay for these boots? You know, retails $650, $700 shipped to you, with a flaw so they don't fit and they hurt. Well, who knows? Let me know.